Hey, good morning, students, or afternoon or evening, or whatever time you're actually watching this video. We are jumping into Unit 4 Carbohydrates this week. And I wanted to do a couple of slides on carbohydrates because I feel like there's more information I want you to have than what's in the book. And so I just wanted to take you through a couple things and sort of get you prompted in terms of thinking about this topic of carbohydrates. Another really cool area of study, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. I think you've seen in my bio, my background is diabetes. I'm a diabetes educator. I've done that for many years and really enjoy working with patient populations and helping them to achieve optimal blood sugar goals. It's great to see when someone is able to improve their A1C. It's great with the technology today for those of you who have diabetes or know someone who has diabetes, using a continuous glucose monitor and being able to get that data and really real-time see what's going on for my patients has been helpful in terms of giving them feedback. And I always feel like education, I'm really just sort of a coach on the side to help them understand the data and help them kind of decide what's good and what's not good for them, or what they should have more often and what they should have less often, I should say. So a couple things about carbs. Most people think of carbohydrates and they think, oh my gosh, it's like, these are like the worst thing you could put into your body. So I think when you think that, one of my students several semesters ago sent this picture to me. His thought of carbohydrates was this. And I see that and I think, well, that's more what I think in terms of processed foods. So is that really what we're talking about with carbohydrates? And just in a nutshell, we break them down right into simple and complex, and you'll read about that, so I won't bore you with those. But when I think about any of our nutrients, I'd like to introduce you to them in terms of what are the foods? So what are we getting? What are the nutrients that are coming from these foods that have carbohydrate? So if you decide to cut them out of your diet, what are you missing out on? So if we go to more of a meta level here, let me get my face out of the way. These are the things that you're getting. So, right, all of these foods that you're consuming, they're not just giving you carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are just packaged in one of the nutrients that you're going to get from foods. And you're going to get all these other lycopene, carotenoids, beta-carotene, flavonols, vitamin C, lutein, all these phytochemicals that are so important in your body that do so many more things. And you don't get them unless you eat foods that also have carbohydrates. And the carbohydrates allow these nutrients to work and function much, much better. Some more benefits. I mean, just some of the nutrients you're going to get from carbohydrates, a variety of them. And really, most of these nutrients are only found in foods that also tend to be a little bit higher in carbohydrates. So while you may decide at a period of time to cut carbs down in your diet, think about the nutrients that you're losing and how can you get those. Fiber is huge. You'll learn a little bit more about fiber in your diet. Benefits of carbohydrate foods. And I just wanted to share this with you because I think people really stay away from milk for a variety of reasons. I think the one that I hear most is, I'm trying to think of what it is, something along the lines of most animals wean their child at the age of whatever from the mother's milk, yet we keep drinking milk from animals, and that's weird. Something along those lines. Milk has actually been part of our culture for thousands of years. You can go back thousands and thousands of years to look at populations of people who've used milk, who've actually turned it into cheese. It's been a huge nutrient throughout human history. So why is that important? Again, what does milk give us? You know, the big thing people think of is calcium and vitamin D. That's why we're having milk. Vitamin D actually isn't naturally occurring in milk. It's something that we've added to milk to prevent rickets, because rickets was such a problem back in the day. So for those of you who remember, I don't even remember because this is before my time, but they used to have the milkman that would deliver milk to your door. But why is that important? So it has a lot more calcium than broccoli. It has more magnesium, about as much magnesium as a cup of raw spinach. Phosphorus, about the same amount of phosphorus as your kidney beans. Same amount of potassium as a small banana. So people are like, I have to eat my bananas to get my potassium. the vitamin A content of 2 baby carrots, and obviously it has vitamin D also. So milk is actually pretty nutritious little drink there. So if you're somebody who likes milk, have at it. Some of these alternative milks like almond milk or rice milk or coconut milk may have some of these nutrients in there, but they're not naturally occurring. Is that a problem? Not really sure, because it seems like foods that come with nutrients in them get absorbed better and get utilized a little bit differently in the body. So if you can't tolerate milk, certainly you need to try for other alternatives. But just to kind of give you an idea here, when we think about carbohydrates, I want to have you start thinking about foods from a holistic standpoint. What are they bringing with them? Sugar gets a bad rap for good reason. So refined sugar, the story I tell in my class that I think lives on, maybe it doesn't lives on my own head. But the thing I think of is like you're going to a party or you're having a party. People are bringing things to your party. There's always that one person that just doesn't bring anything to the party, right? They just show up. They're usually the life of the party, right? They're a lot of fun, but they bring nothing to the party. And so I think of sugar that way. It tastes good. You feel good when you eat it for a little bit, but it brings nothing. So the reason that refined sugars or added sugars are problematic really comes down to the fact that they have no nutritional value. They're not adding anything. They're just giving you calories and just pure sugar. So they just aren't adding nutrients to your diet. A couple of different sugars that have come out, like sugar in the raw, coconut sugar. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other ones that have come out. And they're no different than just pure sugar, but they sound good and they look brown, so you think they have some value. Brown sugar, little bit of magnesium, but not enough I'd rather you drink milk. Or I would recommend drinking milk instead. So that's when we're thinking of added sugars, that's kind of the crux of it. It just does not add any nutritional value. Simply adds added calories. Okay. And I'm going to skip through and jump down to another topic here because this is kind of a fun one. So one of the things you'll learn about is, we'll talk a little bit about diabetes in this chapter, not as much as I'd like to. And so you'll learn a little bit about blood sugar regulation. And so one of the things that I'd like to talk a little bit about is, why is that important? How much sugar is there in your blood? And so here's my question to you. And I'm going to give you the answer. But I want you to think about this. So you always have some sugar circulating in your blood, right? There's always and it's in the form of glucose. One of the things you'll learn through digestion absorption in this chapter is that nothing gets absorbed until it's in its monosaccharide form. So monosaccharide. So you're only going to be absorbing galactose, glucose, or fructose. And so those are the 3 monosaccharides. Whether you eat a big starchy piece of bread that has, very complex carbohydrates, what goes into your blood, all those nutrients, but basically it's just going to be sugar. And all of those sugars, whether it's fructose or it's galactose, are going to go straight to your liver, going to get converted to glucose. So everything is glucose in your blood. So whether it's that really starchy whole grain bread, or it's what's another good source? Brown rice, you're going to get carbohydrate from that. You're going to get carbohydrates from, say, a sweet potato versus a russet potato. People think sweet potatoes are healthier. They have a bit more nutritional value. They have a lot more vitamin A, but the carbohydrate content, by the time it gets into your blood, it's no different, right? But all those nutrients come with it. So they bring a ton of other things to that party. So here's my question for you. So if I have somebody who is just getting up, they don't have diabetes, and they test their blood sugar, they'll pull out their meter, they'll test it. If they don't have diabetes, it's going to be under 100 when they wake up. So let's say we test their blood sugar just for ease sake. I'm going to test it and it's right at 100. And basically that measurement is 100 milligrams per deciliter. And so what does that mean? And so that's telling us how much glucose is circulating in their blood at that moment. And so if they have 100 milligrams per deciliter circulating in their blood, how much sugar is that? And so we can go to the sugar cube. Obviously it's not the sugar cube because it's not sucrose, because you can't absorb sucrose, but just for fun's sake, A sugar cube has about 5 grams of sugar. So how many sugar cubes worth of blood do you have circulating in your blood if you're right at normal blood sugar, right? So if you were just normal blood sugar, 100 milligrams, and you tested it was 100, how many sugar cubes worth of sugar do you think you have circulating in your blood? Think about that for a minute. Think about that. I'd love for you guys to chime in what your thoughts are, but I'm going to go ahead and show you. So you ready for it? And I've done this before. I feel like I'm one of those videos that you watch on whatever it is, and they take forever to get to the punchline. But I've done this before, and I will tell you, I asked this at a medical conference. We were presenting to some physicians, and they didn't know. So don't feel like you should know. But I will show you here. So how many sugar cubes worth of sugar? And here it is. Okay, won't go to it. 1. So basically you have the equivalent of 5 grams of glucose at any one time. So that's what that's when you're trying to maintain that, you're secreting insulin, or you're producing glucagon to bring your blood sugar up. Your body's trying to maintain all of your blood supply. The average, this is off of an average person who has 5 liters of blood, is trying to maintain about 5 grams worth of glucose at any given time. So why is that important? If you have high blood sugar, so if you have diabetes and your blood sugars are running a little bit high, 200 milligrams essentially, and I'm doing some rounding here to get this, would be 2 sugar cubes, or 300 would be about 3 sugar cubes worth. So just to kind of give you an idea, when your sugars are running high, it's not that much higher. It's not that much higher. And so here's the question I pose to you when you think about this, and I'm sure none of you do this, right? So imagine how this feels when you drink down a soda, or a bigger soda, or even bigger soda. This is what your body's trying to manage. Another way to look at it is if you're eating a meal and you have, say, I don't know, 80 grams of carbohydrate in that meal, how's your body dealing with that? Now, if you have a higher carb meal, but you have lots of fiber, we know that that slows down the digestive process, right? So it's not like pure watered sugar that's already been, it doesn't have to do anything to digest it, right? It breaks it down and raises your blood sugar right away. So if you have a little bit of fiber, a little bit of protein, there's a slower rise in that blood sugar, so your body can put that sugar where it needs to go more quickly. So that's kind of my introduction to this chapter. I want you to think in terms of, you know, what are some of these healthy nutrients you get in foods that provide you with carbohydrate? How would you get those nutrients if you weren't eating foods with carbohydrate? Why do we talk about sugar being problematic? And how is your blood sugar regulation occurring? So excited for this next week. And if you have any questions, as always, just ping them over to me. Have a great, hopefully cooler weekend, right?